What's going on, guys? It's your boy Zooko, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to play Captain America. You're going to have a lot to master, and this is a really hard character to use. I'm not going to lie to you guys, at the highest level, and when you truly start learning how to play the character in the most optimal way. So let's get straight into it because we have a lot to show you. Be ready to slow the video down and take your time because you have a lot to learn here. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know who you want for me to break down next. Captain America is a really cool character. You have I believe only one playstyle with this character that truly works, which is dive. Now, even though this character does have a lot of health, I do not believe this is a true tank. He doesn't really have things that makes a tank a tank. He doesn't have any sort of self-sustain, even though he does have a lot of health. Now, you have to play him like a cooldown character because that's pretty much what he is, and you really have to get in their face. But once you learn how to use him, he's very strong. I would use this character as a DPS character that can keep his supports alive that are also diving with you. Let's say you're playing with a Mantis and you and the Mantis are diving, or you and the Cloak and Dagger, or you and the Atom, or you and the Raccoon, whatever it is, are diving. You can use him as a way to keep them alive or protect them from damage and himself while they're healing you. Him and Mantis work really good together. Him and Psylocke in the dive works really good. Him and Spider-Man, him and Iron Man, him and Bucky, him and Star-Lord, him and Black Panther, him and Magic, him and Punisher. All of these characters work really well together whenever you're diving onto a team. Again, I use him as a DPS character that just has a little bit more health instead of using him as an actual tank. So the first thing is you have your melees. Your first 2 hits will kind of start a little timer here. And for 5 seconds, you'll have 4 hits that'll actually give you range. So if you do this hit, you see there's 1, get another hit, and then you got 5 seconds to release all 4 of these that give you range. As you can see, this does not do a lot of damage on its own, so your melees aren't really all that, but it is how you give yourself some range. Moving on, you have your right click. This is going to give you 400 health. Whenever you sprint in this with your left shift or whatever it is for you on console, it allows for you to move faster while holding your shield. You can actually animation cancel this. Your ability to sprint is cool because it allows for you to get access to this little space fearless leap. From this leap, you can actually do a little dive and strike. We're going to be talking about this in a lot much more depth. Moving on, you have your E. This is basically just like a ricochet. Here it'll ricochet to a set amount of enemies and it'll do a decent amount of damage. Not anything crazy, but it's still good enough to note. Now the next thing you have is your F. This is basically just advanced movement. Doesn't really do that much damage, but it's just a nice little boop, and that's pretty much what it's doing there. Jump in the air, F, and this allows for you to basically create that from any amount of steps. So like, even if it's this, right? So jump this, as you can see, you can do that. So that's a pretty cool thing with that there. And that's pretty much all of your abilities. Your ultimate is pretty much just like, think of it as like Venom's ability that just gives you health over time and just kind of gives you quick killing. I would look at this ultimate like self-sustain. It's also a movement boost for you and your team. It's also going to give you bonus health over time. So that's cool. But the main thing I use it for is like Winston ultimate. I'll use it to displace people, right? Like this. So if I want to move someone, into a bad position, or if I want to take someone away from their team, away from supports, or whatever it may be, kind of separate the team, doing what a dive character is supposed to do and cause chaos and get in the back line and separate people from their heals and get them scared to where they go off in their own 1v1s, or you getting the healers complaining about how they got a tank that's playing like a DPS, rushing them down, and they can't kill him because you're playing as a team. That's pretty much what I would use his ultimate for. Not really like something that's really going to like carry a team. I would say his ultimate is more used at the beginning of a fight, like pre push, or in the middle of a push and you feel like your team's sort of losing it a little bit, or just a way to keep yourself alive. That would be the 3 that I would recommend. So the first combo that I want to show you here is going to be your little simplest one. It's going to be melee EF. So ping, ping, ping. So again, melee, E, and then F. That's going to be about 145 damage, somewhere around there, 150, 145, something like that. Your E and your F is exactly 100 damage. So the next input that we're going to have to show you here is going to be melee and then jump dive, right? So this is basically going to be melee, forward input, sprint, jump, and then you can do your dive. Now you have to do this technically really fast. You could technically do your sprint and your space at the same time, but your W has to be a little bit before it, and you'll always get this every single time. Once you practice this, I would recommend you break this stuff up because you're going to need to know all of these animation councils. You need to practice them on their own, because if you try and mix this up together when I show you the combos that you're going to have to do, you're going to be fumbling all over the place and you're going to build bad habits. So learn how to do this first, and then you'll be good. Now the next one that you have is basically a step up. So you're going to do melee, jump, and then dive, right? But if you do a melee input before that timer actually starts to where you're going to get the dive and strike, you can actually do this, right? So bing, bing, right? Bing, bing, right? And as you can see, you can still do a dive and strike. This is really important. I would master this because this is going to be the hardest thing for you to do. And then after you learn how to do this, just doing your forward input, I would learn how to master doing WA because this makes it easy for you to hit on certain combos. So bing, bing. So once you've gotten used to doing this and you can, pretty much get it to where it needs to be, then I would recommend you move on to this next portion here. So now what you have is you have the ability to do something like this, right? And this is one of your first combos. As you can see, this does over 150 damage. So that's melee, melee, dive, melee. Now, whenever you dive, you can immediately go into a melee attack. So dive into a melee attack, immediately animation cancel each other. So that's pretty important to note. So whenever you do melee, melee, dive, melee, as you can see, that's a lot of damage. This is one of your combos. So again, remember what happens after we do a melee, EF. So if you do all of this at the same time, you will be able to get a very nice combo. Once you learn this and you get this consistent, again, break it up. Then it'll look something like this. And just for the sake of it, let's go ahead and show you one more time, but I'll add a side input here. And again, this is a Black Panther. This is a 300 health character. So the next move that you guys are going to have to learn to animation cancel is going to be your F into your sprint jump. It only really works if you have the floor to touch. If you don't, it's going to give you a little bit of an issue. So it's much easier to practice this here if you were playing it elsewhere. So keep that in mind. You can't do this if you don't have something to run on really quickly to cancel it into a sprint jump rather quickly. Now, the reason why this is important is because you can do this for advanced movement and then touch like this, you can, or if you wanted to do like this and do like this, you can. So as you can see, you have a few little options there, but I like using this most importantly for a combo. So you can do F and then dive straight into your melee. So now since you have this right down, you can do that melee straight into a E. Now since your F is technically already out of the picture because you just use it, I'll put the cooldowns on so you can see it. You can do melee F. So you can't do your F again, right? So because you can't do your F again, you have to go into other animation cancels. So because you have to go to other animation cancels, remember how I told you how this is a shield animation cancel? You can do. So if you do melee E, melee, you see how there's a delay, right? But if you do melee E, shield melee, you can immediately cancel. So melee E, shield melee, as you can see, this is pretty good. I really do like doing this. As you can see, that is 150 damage. Once you start getting all of this together and you can now do this, then it allows for you to basically, so all together it'll look a little bit something like this here. So just melee F, dive, melee, then you're going to E, right? After you do your E, shields tap, melee, melee, right? And this is one of your combos if you want to start with your F first. So now let's say if you're wanting to start it with, let's say the melee E melee, right? And once you do that melee straight into your F, you can then do straight into a dive strike into another melee. So the next thing is, let's say you already have your 2 hits and you're kind of on the 5-second cooldown. You want to get some burst. You can do like this and then dive onto them and then do like that, right? This allows for you to basically get to your point to where you can kind of like do range on them. So again, you're out here, bing, bing, dive, bing, bing, bing. You can also do melee EF, right? And then you could do that F straight into your jump dive, into your attack, straight into a melee again. The next thing that you have with them is just like what you can do out of a shield. One of my favorite combos from the shield is just EF directly into a dive jump. As far as targeting with your shield, the one thing I would recommend is if you're doing your regular melees, aim to the right of them, right? It just helps you to hit. And then if you're trying to hit your E, same thing as well, you aim to the right of them. Since his shield is going to be coming from the left side, it just works better for you that way for the tracking. It is weird, but it is what it is. So you do have some combos where you can do like this with it. If you guys enjoyed the video, just like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. And that's pretty much everything I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's your boy Zooko. We are out. Peace.